Vintage technology, it's one of those things that conjures up powerful memories of childhood spent watching our favourite programmes on bulky CRT television sets, choosing a film from the video rental shop to watch on those bulky TVs, and maybe even the excitement of getting a ludicrously expensive TV or video recorder for the first time, which would usually have been rented from a shop on the high street. Now, one of the greatest time capsules available to us in the modern era is old vintage adverts, which can be readily found on YouTube, albeit in various states of decay, and in this video we'll be looking at 10 of the best classic retro tech adverts from the past, and thinking about some of the more memorable aspects of those products as we count down from 10 to 1 in no particular order. I'll also be featuring some comments from regular viewers of this channel afterwards, so stick around for that. And as always, I've popped some chapter markers along the video timeline so you can jump around to different adverts on this list if you want to. Believe it or not, the price of TVs has actually dropped, relatively speaking, since we were first enamoured with those massive CRT television sets that used to hog an entire corner of the living room, and back then many of our families just didn't have the money to spare for what was, at the time, an unnecessary luxury. Enter the TV and video rental shops, the heroes of this story, and they enabled us to rent a TV or video recorder for prices that barely put a dent in the weekly budget. I mean, our first VHS player used to cost us £2 a month, and we got free repairs and replacements into the bargain. One such establishment that offered amazing deals like these was Granada, and in our first vintage tech advert of this video we get to see an example of exactly the sort of thing that this type of shop had to offer.
At Granada, we've lots new for you. The latest technology for you to rent, like our range of advanced video recorders that even record one program while you watch another. And our latest range of sets, some with remote control, all with precision Granada colour.
We'll help you choose the one for you. Rent Granada.
Have a free home trial. Granada, great service, great sets.
And what's a telly without a video to record your favourite shows on while you're at school or work? Back in 1985, that point was hammered home in this classic advert that featured a dancing skeleton of all things. Old videotapes being what they were, they would degrade over time and lose their ability to capture a decent level of picture quality. However, the manufacturer of Scotch tapes wanted us to know that their cassettes were a cut above the average. And if you remember that far back, you'll know that the prices were a cut above the average too. So I guess it's a case of you get what you pay for. And according to Mr. Skeleton here, you'll be able to re-record, not fade away, to your heart's content with a lifetime guarantee as standard, although now over 40 years later I doubt they'll still be honouring that promise.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. With Scotch's lifetime guarantee. Tape what you want both night and day. Re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away.
Every recording as good as the first, or we'll give you a new tape. You can watch Scotch forever.
Re-record, not fade away.
And what better way to make the most of your home video recorder than to pop out to the local video shop and hire out the latest blockbuster movie. Long before the internet was fast enough to download or stream unlimited films and TV shows on demand for a monthly fee, we had to physically rent our film choices at a couple of quid per tape. On top of that, there were late fees to worry about too, so if you forgot to return that tape to the shop by the next day, you'd be paying the rental fees all over again. Joy. There was a charm though in the trip to the shop and the 20 minutes or so spent browsing the tapes, trying to decide what film to hire out, and then choosing your snacks and drinks from their sweets counter. It's an experience that many of us remember and sorely miss, and it really isn't the same anymore now that we have an overabundance of choice at our fingertips without even leaving the sofa.
I've never seen 10,000 tapes in one store.
There's so much kid stuff.
And I can keep them for 3 evenings.
Ordinary video stores don't even come close to Blockbuster Video. We even have a 24-hour quick drop.
Wow. Wow.
What a difference. Blockbuster Video.
The favorite family video store from over there is now over here.
Another often forgotten feature of TVs from decades past is something that was super high-tech at the time, but compared to modern internet access looks decidedly prehistoric. Again, long before the internet was even dreamed of, we had streams of digital information on demand transmitted alongside the analog TV signal, and this was accessible to anyone with a TV that had that feature built in. Meet Teletext, your free up-to-the-minute on-screen magazine providing news, reviews, sports results, quizzes, competitions and anything else the technicians could think of that would fit into a primitive, blocky graphical display. Navigated by typing index numbers into your TV remote, then waiting for the TV to scan through the signal until it found the page you wanted, Teletext, whether it was the BBC's CFAX service or ITV's Oracle, was a really clever idea, offering on-demand interactive entertainment decades before digital TV and internet connections were ever a thing.
The newspaper, delivered in time-honored tradition. But imagine a newspaper that's constantly updated. 15,000 times a day. Covers topics like useful recipes, city news, the latest sports reports, and what's on at the theater. Altogether 1,600 pages of useful information. The ultimate newspaper, brought to you by Oracle.
As TVs became more advanced over the years, we were introduced to new features that made us want to replace those old sets with the latest and greatest upgrades. Of course, now we have completely flat TVs that hang on the wall like a picture frame, but in the mid-80s, the closest we were going to get to that was still a bulky CRT, but now with a flattened glass screen, also known as a tube, that made watching the telly feel all the more futuristic. Enter Toshiba with their new range of FST televisions, or flatter, squarer tube. FST really was the buzzword in television marketing at that time, and if you were someone who had to have the latest thing, you wouldn't have taken much convincing from the robotic character in this advert doing his best to imitate Alexi Sale's hit single "Hello John, got a new motor," which hit the top 20 back in 1984.
Hello, Tosh, got a Toshiba? Hello, Tosh, got a Toshiba? That's an FST. Right. That's an FST. Right. It's the flattest, squarest tube. It's the flattest, squarest tube. They ain't half built well. They ain't half built well. Of course, every Toshiba component is stronger to last longer. Know what I mean? That's good. That's good. Hello, Tosh, got a Toshiba? Hello, Tosh, got a Toshiba?
Of course, you'd need a special shop to go to buy all that high-tech gear from, and we had many to choose from back then, including big chains like Dixons, Comet, Currys, Tandy and Maplin, not to mention countless numbers of smaller independent stores, many of which I'm sure you'll tell me about in the comments. It's a sad fact though that almost all of those shops now are no longer trading, with only Currys still remaining as far as I'm aware. Most of our purchases these days are made through websites and apps, which completely removes the joy of browsing around a technology shop, looking at and trying out different models of TV, Hi-Fi or whatever it was that you wanted to invest your hard-earned dosh into. Dixons is perhaps one of the most iconic brands and probably formed fond memories for many of us early in life. This next advert takes us right back to that heyday with a selection of high-tech products which, judging from the prices, I reckon must have been broadcast in either late 1985 or 86.
Come in on Dixons' greatest ever Christmas deals. Like this superb 14-inch Say-So colour TV, only $159.99. This Commodore computer starter pack with data recorder and software now under £50. Save £50 on this Fisher Twin Deck MIDI Hi-Fi with graphic equalizer. Save £150 on this JVC portable video camera recorder. Dixons deals. We guarantee you can't buy better.
Hi-Fi is another one of those things that really doesn't exist anymore, with the closest modern equivalent being a Bluetooth speaker, which if you're lucky might have a radio or CD player built in. Years ago, a stacking system with a record player, tape deck, radio, CD player, graphic equalizer and that rarest of things now, physical bass and treble controls, would have taken pride of place in your living room or bedroom, and it was something that was built to last, that would stay in your memory for the rest of your life. Unless of course you bought an Amstrad model. Yes, good old Alan Michael Sugar, which is where where the Amstrad name comes from, AMS Trading, admitted himself to producing systems that were designed to appeal visibly to a hi-fi fan, but were made from super cheap components that were barely fit for the job. The phrase "a mug's eyeful" is one of his famous quotes, describing exactly what he was aiming for with his products. I'm sure many of you will have disappointing memories of Amstrad products, and as you can see from this next advert, those disappointing systems are indeed made to look spectacular and enticing, particularly at the prices quoted here, which were suspiciously low when compared to hi-fis from other manufacturers at the time.
In the world of hi-fi towers, Amstrad stands out for value. See Amstrad's new TS33 complete with speakers at around £169. And the remarkable Amstrad TS35 with twin cassette decks. So you can record from one cassette to another. Sensational value at around £199. Amstrad from Argos, Comet, Co-op, Currys, Dixons, Rumbelow, Shoppers World, Woolworth and your local electricity board.
Modern digital photography is great, isn't it? Whether it's a digital camera or just snaps on your mobile phone, you can't beat the convenience of being able to see your photos instantly and with no restrictions on how many photos you can take. It was of course a different story years ago, with your only option being a mechanical camera, which you'd have to buy disposable films for. Then of course you'd only be able to take 20 or 30 photos with that disposable film before you'd have to buy another. And to make things even worse, you'd have to send off your films or take them to a shop to be developed, and then discover when you got your photos back that half of them were either out of focus, badly framed, super dark, or worst of all, there was a finger covering the lens when you took the shot. It all sounds insufferable, but like most old technology, it has a retro appeal that's really nostalgic for those of us who lived through those years. Some companies did try to ease the burden though, like Truprint for instance, who in this advert are offering a free film every time you send one off to them to be developed. Bargain.
When you post your films to us at
Truprint.
you know they're in good hands because
Truprint!
give you living colour prints
Truprint.
and a free top quality film every time. So you need never buy another film again. Say
Truprint.
and smile for a free film every time. Use the Truprint envelope for a free film every time.
I mentioned mobile phones while I was banging on in that last segment, and that's another example of a modern technology that offers unprecedented levels of convenience. Before mobiles, we were stuck with home phones that were literally attached to the wall by a cable, and if we wanted to make a phone call outside the house, we had to use public phone boxes, which, if you didn't have any coins on you, were a non-starter. One technology which aimed to alleviate this problem, though, was the British Telecom Phonecard. These were credit card-sized disposable metallic cards which could be pre-purchased and used in phone boxes that had special phone card slots installed. There was a massive push from BT in the 80s to persuade us to adopt this technology, with major investment into converting phone boxes and of course into TV advertising, one example of which we're about to see, featuring David Jason as a security driver who's short of coins, buying a phone card at a newsagent so he can call his boss from a phone box.
There will be times when you're running late and need to phone the office but don't have any coins on you.
Got any money? Not that. Dopey. Oh, that's no good.
Which is why we developed the Phonecard. Available from main post offices or selected newsagents, a Phonecard lets you make your calls without worrying about change.
Hello, sir. It's me, fool.
So if it looks like you're going to be held up, make sure you've got a Phonecard.
And our final piece of retro tech, although arguably less retro than other obsolete technologies, is a great example of those points in history when one technology or format is being replaced by another. Compact discs. They were introduced to the music industry slowly and gradually, initially costing more to buy than cassettes or vinyl records, and of course the CD players weren't exactly cheap either. Rolling forward a few years though, and they were rapidly becoming the norm for music album releases as prices dropped and more of us punters were able to afford them. There was this sweet spot around that time when the excitement for CDs meant that many of us were ditching our old cassette and LP collections in favour of those magical looking shiny futuristic laserdiscs with digital features that cassette and record owners could only dream of. Our final advert gives us a little insight into this transitional period between formats when manufacturers were riding those waves of excitement, trying to convince us of the advantages that compact disc digital audio had to offer.
The Philips created compact disc system is here. The revolution in sound, invented by Philips. Featuring full programming and digital display. Each player attaches to any home stereo system to give you pure, perfect sound. Forever.
Now, I couldn't not feature your opinions on the subject of retro tech, as you lot often come up with some great memories that I hadn't already thought to include. And there was an almost overwhelming response on social media this time, so I've had to limit it to a select few. So here is that selection of what some of you had to say. Mother of Vincent LePew on YouTube remembers renting a TV from Rumbelows, only instead of paying a rental fee, this TV had a coin box on the side. Stick a 50p piece in the slot, turn the handle, and on comes the telly for a fixed period of time before switching off when the time ran out. Sounds like a good system, only the TV would more often than not run out of credit right in the middle of the programme you were trying to watch. Paul Pablo Hind on Facebook mentioned those old coin slot TVs as well, before bringing up that well-known Scotch's lifetime guarantee from the skeleton adverts. Apparently there was a catch in the form of a disclaimer on the VHS tape sleeves, stating that the guarantee was only good as long as the videotape format hadn't become obsolete. So I'm afraid all you commenters who asked if Scotch would still honour that guarantee today are going to be a bit disappointed when you see this. It's a shot of the blurb on the side of a Scotch VHS cassette, which I've tried to enhance a little for clarity, and sure enough there it is in black and white. Staying on the subject of VHS tapes, Red Sparrow on YouTube remembers the plastic tabs on VHS tapes that you could snap off to prevent taping over your favourite recordings, and of course the inevitability of eventually sticking a bit of sellotape over the whole after changing your mind. My strongest memories of using those tabs was always around Christmas time when all the best films were on the telly, snapping off the tabs so we could safely keep our favourite films to watch over and over again. I've lost count of how many times I must have seen Police Academy and Trading Places over the years on home recorded tapes. El Ritmo on YouTube brought up the subject of video rental shops and just how many of them there were. They were everywhere at one point, including in the corner shop and in the local library. Famous names like Blockbuster and Global Video were mentioned here, and I'm sure we all remember our own local independent shops too. Mine was simply called K Video Centre. And El Ritmo mentioned the experience of asking at the video shop for their old movie posters that were due to be thrown away. Wish I'd thought of that. I was always after new posters for my bedroom. Retrohawk also brought up the poster thing, this time at Ritz and Global Video rental shops, and apparently the way it worked was they'd write the name of the person who asked first on the back of the posters, then keep them in reserve after they were done with them. Levi McGlinchy on YouTube triggered a memory I'd forgotten all about, walking past a public telephone box and sticking your finger into the coin return slot to see if anyone had forgotten to take their change away. A surprisingly fruitful daily ritual for Levi, apparently, who also remembers dialing 100 for the operator and asking to reverse the charges to avoid paying. Mark Salis on Facebook on the phone box subject mentioned the British Telecom phone cards we saw in one of those adverts earlier, which were a thrill to use as a kid with their weighty metallic feel. It felt a grown-up thing to be able to use them, almost like having a credit card. And Cool Hand Luke back on YouTube, as well as mentioning Teletext, which we'll be coming to in a minute, used to collect the old Phonecard picture series, but lost them long ago unfortunately. We had a lovely little chat about Phonecard Memories, and long story short, I ended up going on eBay and buying a set of 4. I couldn't say no really, as they were only £1.55 post free, and Luke is right, they are going to look great on the shelf amongst my other memorabilia. And as promised, Teletext comes up in Millennial Max comment on YouTube, who remembers, as I'm sure many of us do, playing the interactive quiz game Bamboozle. This felt at the time like the epitome of digital entertainment. It was all broadcast to our TVs through those basic analog TV aerials fixed to our rooftops. The quiz was hosted by a colourful character called Bamboozle, and we get to answer multiple choice questions by selecting the answers using the 4 coloured buttons on the TV remote. Brent Stevens on Facebook shared memories of what photography was like before we had digital cameras and mobile phones. He had a Polaroid instant camera which was able to print out and develop photos as soon as you'd taken them. He didn't use it much though, as the films were too expensive. Cost aside, it was a better option than what most of us had to settle for, taking photos and waiting days or weeks to have them developed, although Brent did have a few cameras like that as well, until eventually getting his first digital camera, a Minolta Dimage, and he shared this photo taken on that very camera, which is pretty good for an early digital camera, albeit in fairly fairly low resolution. More memories of film photography from Sam M in another comment, who worked in a photo processing lab for his school work experience and ended up being offered a job there. Sam learned a lot about processing photos during that time, working on films from 35mm cameras, 110s, 126s and disc cameras too, if you remember those. Sam eventually moved to working in a 1-hour photo mini lab until digital cameras came along and put him out of a job. And finally, Dave Birch on YouTube, on the subject of compact disc music and video formats, reminded me about the Britannia music and video clubs. If you were around at the time, you'll definitely have come across their special offer leaflets and adverts, and Dave still has at least one CD that he got from Britannia. This was a club you'd sign up to join that would offer irresistible introductory deals, like 5 albums for the price of 1, for example, but they tie you into a 2-year contract, meaning you'd have to buy 1 full-price album at least every 4 months for that 2-year period. If you're interested in the fine detail, here's one of their leaflets with their contractual rules listed on it, and it does explain some other fairly good deals that come along with membership, including half-price deals and a free magazine brochure every month. The worst catch here is that they'd send you their recommended title every month unless you let them know that you didn't want it, so I imagine they made a lot of accidental sales that way. Britannia had clubs for music, video and I think possibly computer games, although I may be misremembering that one, and throughout the 80s and 90s most of our family's music and video purchases came from Britannia, so for us at least the whole thing must have seemed like a pretty good deal. So that's a wrap on this nostalgic look back, and if this video has triggered any memories for you, post them in the comments and I'll be happy to join in with the conversation down there. And if you'd like a comment featured in a future Retrospectives video, follow me on my various social media platforms where I'll be asking for your contributions whenever I'm looking for input. Beyond that, I'd like to thank everyone who shared their comments for this video, to thank you for liking and subscribing, and of course to thank you all for watching Retrospectives.